Father James, it's so good to be with you today. I know one of the things that the Divine Renovation family around the world has been wondering about is the news of your change. You've got a new job.
Yes.
So I wanted just to spend some time today to talk about it because we've had lots of questions come in and some of them we've created some confusion. So let's undo the confusion about what's happening in your life. The big news is that you're returning to parish. Why don't you say a little bit about what that might look like?
I am returning, and by the time folks watch this, I'll be back as a pastor in a parish because it's literally in a matter of days from now. What does it look like? It means that I'm a pastor of a parish in our new reality that we've been working at here in the Archdiocese. I've gone from 90 parishes, at least existing officially, down to 20, and I'm going to become pastor of one of those parishes, a parish that formerly was 4 different locations. It's a parish that, in many ways, it brings me right back to the beginning, and to be honest, I'm incredibly excited about it. Here's the thing. One of our principles at Divine Renovation is from the trenches. We're not theoreticians, and I look forward to getting back into that particular trench.
So what I love about your story is, you were part of St. Benedict Parish and turning it around. And then you went to the diocese. And you actually wrote a book called Beyond the Parish.
That's right.
Based, at least in part, on some of your experiences at the diocesan level. And now you find yourself going back into parish. And so this journey is really exciting. Help me understand, when you first heard the news, what was your reaction to it? Like when your bishop said, "Hey, Father James, we're thinking of..."
Well, it's actually not how it happened.
Okay, tell me some more.
The truth is that it comes down to COVID-19, really. Like, COVID-19 is a game changer. Like, the game has changed. And again, that idea of from the trenches, I found myself being like a coach who's coaching out of his past experience, but witnessing in front of him the fact that the game has changed right in front of his eyes. And I had this feeling, this sneaking feeling within myself that, do I know what I'm talking about anymore? I know the principles still apply. I'm convicted about them, but the exact application of these principles has changed. And I'm convicted that 20 years from now, we're going to look back and see that 2020 was the defining line. And just this sense of, I've got to get back in. I've got to get back in. I was feeling it. And so what happened is, after experiencing this kind of internal calling, and I knew that the role I had with the diocese was only going to be for a season. I had a time of retreat. I had my own retreat and beautiful time of prayer, and came out of it with a very strong sense that I had to put before my bishop and the diocesan leadership kind of a blank check. So I was actually in the meeting, the small group that we were talking about placements, and the sheet came out with the priests who were going to be placed. My name wasn't on the list. And I said, hey, I before we start, I just want to let you know that I want to put my name out there because I feel called to serve back in a parish and serve in any way possible. So, yeah, I believe it's the Lord's doing, His prompting, and so I put my name out there. And when the meeting started, I literally had a real sense of freedom, because here's the thing, no matter where I was placed, it's a learning opportunity. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's like, how does Divine Renovation work? How have we worked it? We're not theoreticians, we're practitioners who reflect on our experience. We engage different experiences, learn from it, reflect on it, pray on them, and share our learnings with others.
I love that you both experience that compelling spirit and also that desire and that drive to get back into parish. When I look back at your previous role in the diocese, people in Divine Renovation have often looked in and found it a bit confusing. They kind of imagine that, now, most people probably assume this about you. You work hard. You're a hard worker. You put in lots of time. But I think a lot of folks, when you get up on stage and when you talk, they imagine that, 7 days a week, you're here at the Divine Renovation office, toiling away. But that's not really what happened. Your primary call has always been to be a diocesan priest, hasn't it?
Well, here's the thing of having 2 masters. You either love one, or, you can't serve 2 masters, as the Lord said. You guys often experience when I was not here. And I think the bishop and the folks at the diocese also experienced. They noticed probably more when I wasn't there than I was there. But the truth is that my time was split. I was, on paper 50-50. There were some weeks where Divine Renovation got much more of my time, and some weeks that the diocese got much more of my time. Again, my role with the diocese was usually one day a week in the office. I always had a vision for that role as to being really a field worker, someone out on the field, meeting pastors, presenting to parish leadership groups. And so when I wasn't downtown at the Chancery office, I was often on the road as well, or meeting with pastors. But here's the other thing, that COVID-19 changed that. I mean, all the things we had planned to do, and I thought I would be busy doing in my role with the diocese, COVID-19 has changed that as well. Now, thankfully, we were able to transition the structure of the parish 6 months before this happened, and we just actually brought pastors to have leadership teams. We had our first gathering. We were starting to do training when the lockdown happened, and then we had to pivot online and even change the focus of those online meetings to an immediate response to the COVID thing. But so things have changed. So I'd say that other, of course, than the Holy Spirit, the prompting of the Holy Spirit, the second reason for this sense of calling and move in my part was probably the changed reality with COVID-19.
When you look back at, I mean, you didn't work alone at the diocese. You had a great team of people there. Some of them I know personally, and I know how great they are. When you reflect back on that time and your years that you spent now as let's see if I can get your old job title right, Episcopal Vicar for Parish Renewal and Leadership Support.
That's correct. That's correct.
So when you look back at that time, is there anything that you look back on, you're like, I am so glad I got to be part of this win that happened in the diocese?
It's a great question. When we started off, we had an idea that there would be struggles, there would be pushback, there would be resistance. And even for us, a win was, a certain percentage of pastors who would really be on board with this. And I would say that things actually went a lot more smoothly than we thought. There was pushback, there was resistance, but I think the team did a great job in making the case for it and preparing the ground for it. And we saw, I believe, a higher percentage of pastors who really embraced this and had a deep sense of the need to do this. So right now, my perspective is when we look at our whole diocese now with 20 pastors, there is a critical mass of guys who are really on board with that vision, with Archbishop Mancini's vision for missionary renewal. The plan is still in place. The plan to have ongoing formation is still in place. I've been asked to continue my role in the diocese in an advisory role. I'm still chair of the Council of Priests. I'm not a very good chair, but I'm still in that role. And I'm going to be one of the pastors. I'm going to be part of those meetings. And there's a growing number of guys who could themselves do presentations and teach on this. So it's a switching of positions that God willing, I'll still continue to have influence at the diocesan level, but from the ground. And to be honest, Dan, what I really felt it came down to a credibility issue. Like, I really struggled. I'll give you one small example. I talked a lot about these principles, and I was finding these stories were becoming old stories. I was beginning to feel like that professor who reads from his notes from 10 years ago. And then when COVID-19 happened, the stories about the COVID reality that I'm telling are other people's stories. And I started to feel like, honestly, it was a bit of a credibility issue for me. Even something, I was going to say something as small as, but it's not. It's quite significant. Telling stories about Alpha. And I realized it's been like 5 years since I've been on an Alpha team. I'm embarrassed to say. Because even when I was pastor of St. Benedict, I was traveling so much that they wouldn't let me be on the team because I couldn't make the bare minimum, which I admired them for. And I was grateful that they kept that. But I miss that. And I always think of Nicky Gumbel, who, in spite of all that he has and all he does and all of his travels, he never missed Alpha. And I was feeling that disconnect. It's one thing if you talk about evangelization enough and you become removed from that hands-on reality of it, yeah, you're gonna start being a theoretician. And so that was all part of it as well.
So one of the questions I got in my inbox shortly after we shared the news with folks that you'd be stepping back into parish after your time with the diocese, one of the questions I got was, does that mean Father James isn't going to speak or be part of Divine Renovation anymore? And God bless the concern that was written in that email. But what would you say? Can we expect you to disappear? Are you off into the wilderness? Are you gone, Father James?
No, I mean, we have this great thing by technology since COVID-19. I've discovered this wonderful thing that I can actually speak to people all over the world and I don't have to endure jet lag. I don't have to spend hours cramped on a plane, and I don't have to stand in line. And as much as I enjoyed traveling, it also came at a great cost. And I look back and I realize it probably was a bit of a break even. In fact, to be honest, I'm surprised. I don't actually miss it at all. I'm quite happy to be at home. And through technology, we can still connect with people. I do every single week. I engage with leaders all over the world. So I'm still able to do it. So the who and the why has not changed, but the what and the how has. And I think that is generally the new reality for us, for everyone, not just in the world of the church. I mean, hopefully we're dialed into our why, into our core purpose. We know who we're trying to reach. But for everyone, what we do and how we do it has radically changed. And so I'm still doing those things. I'm still going to be involved in Divine Renovation in some ways. I mean, I don't know, quarter time, one day a week. I'll be coming down to the office. But here's the thing: what Divine Renovation is a ministry. It's a movement, perhaps. It's a model of parish renewal. In this new reality, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best contributions I can give to Divine Renovation as a ministry is to get back into the parish and figure that out. Amen. And learn how to do it, because guess what? I feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know. I've got to become a student again, a hands-on student. And that's, I think, when I find I'm at my best, when I'm right in that front line, learning, working alongside others, processing that learning and communicating it with others. We did it at the diocesan level. Unexpected things happened, and here we are. And I just think that's the best place I can be. That's the best contribution I can give to DR. I'll still be involved. I'll still be engaging people. The ministry itself is in fantastic hands. I think back to where we were 3 years ago. I mean, when I came on half-time, you had just started full-time, and we're a world away from that reality. Now we've got just phenomenal people on our team. This ministry does not need me at all.
But we're happy to have you. And here's something I think that people need to continue to understand. When you mentioned you're not the best chair, talking about the Council of Priests, I'm hoping they didn't cut to my face where I was like, yeah, he's not the best chair. You stay in the co-chair role here for us at Divine Renovation. You're the co-chair of our board. But in addition to that, you serve on our senior leadership team. So you're very much still part of the decision-making that happens in this ministry and what God might be looking to do through this ministry. So let me ask you this final question. As you look forward, what do you hope or see God doing through Divine Renovation?
Well, it's just simply, again, a continuation of what's always been in our hearts. The who and the why hasn't changed, and that's to inspire, equip parishes that the movement towards mission will accelerate. And I think COVID-19 is an accelerant. Crisis always accelerates change, and the change is upon us, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we engage with it proactively. But if we do engage with this change proactively and engage with the Holy Spirit, churches can be led to a missionary position. Here's the thing, even to somehow live out the old model, to minister to our own people, parishes have to be missionary. You've got to go out. You can't just rely on people to show up, because even churches that have gradually reopened, not everyone's showing up. There's many parishes, the vast majority are still not able to come. And so even to reach our own people, we have to assume a missionary posture. And so let's keep going with that. Let's never go back. Never go back. A lot of the things that we stopped doing, that were not bearing fruit and not working and sucking up all our energy and time, let's not start them up again. Let's just not do that. Let's be wise. Let's really ask that perennial question, what is the Spirit saying to the churches at this time?
What I know about you is that you do a phenomenal job of raising up leaders. And when I think of your new parish, I'm just so excited for the leaders that are already there, because there's some great people, and I know that you're going to be able to raise up more and more great leaders in that community to do something
And to be honest, I'm interested about giving this Divine Renovation thing a try. I'm going to see if it's any good, because here's the thing: we didn't take it off the shelf and do it in a systematic way. Because Divine Renovation is not a program; it's a model. But we did a bunch of stuff and then looked back on it and discerned the principles and codified it in some way. And so I'm looking forward to actually doing it in the right order.
And we learned, of course, because I mean, it took you 7 years. That you and the senior leadership team there, the variations of that existed. It took you guys like 7 years to get to where St. Benedict Parish became a parish of health and vibrancy, and it had, it was incremental in various moments. But and what we learned was that a lot of parishes, having been working with Divine Renovation, are actually able to do it at greater pace. It hasn't taken as long to get to strong
and I
health.
think that's the thing we used to say. Why learn from your own mistakes when you can learn from ours? And so I'm a bit older. 10 years ago, I started.
You got a
at
lot
St.
of mistakes under your belt, man.
I mean, that parish caused me a lot of gray hairs. I would have jet black hair if it wasn't for that process. But 10 years older, maybe I'm a little wiser, and I'm maybe a bit more in touch with the fact that I'm usually only 5 minutes away from being stupid. And that's a good thing to know. So with fear and trembling, I step back into the parish, maybe with a greater awareness of what I don't know, but also a greater sense of what God is able to do. And I can't wait I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to what I discover and bringing that and sharing it with our Divine Renovation audience.
I can't wait to see what God and the Holy Spirit does through you in that community in this season. Thanks so much for talking to me about it today and to share some of your reflections. We're all excited, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thanks, Dan.